They're the ones you should be arresting, not me.
Why don't you say that before?
What do we got here?
Cam, this is William Klein. He was wrecking an office.
But I just wanted to meet them face to face. I wanted them to admit what they were doing.
Who is they?
He was in the office of the Trilateral Commission.
Trilateral Commission.
Yeah, the Trilateral Commission.
All right, what is the Trilateral Commission?
It's an organization founded in 1973 by David Rockefeller to bring together business and political leaders from the United States, Europe, Japan, so they could work together for better economic and political cooperation between their nations.
And that's what they'd like us to believe. But you see, what they're really up to is a scheme to plant their own loyal members in positions of power in this country, to work to erase national boundaries and create an international community, and in time bring about a one world government with David Rockefeller calling the shots.
I take it they're pressing charges?
Yeah, well, he broke a globe and some UNICEF artwork.
Well, they're in on it too.
Okay, Mr. Klein, if you
I'm
just...
telling you, our whole way of life as we know it is in jeopardy.
I appreciate that information.
But I have the documented evidence. It's all in there. Show him.
Well, he's got these magazines here.
Conspiracy Review? Suppressed Truth Roundup?
The whole master plan is exposed.
Yeah, well,
You're still not convinced, huh? Would you like to hear the names of just a few of the people who have been on the Trilateral Commission?
not particularly.
James Earl Carter. Heard of him?
Look, Mr. Klein...
Henry Kissinger. You heard of him? Walter Mondale.
Who?
Mr. Klein, this is
John Anderson, George Bush. Now, you remember at the convention, everybody thought it was going to be Ford for Veep. You know what happened? David Rockefeller just picked up a phone, put in a call. Hey, Ronnie, forget Jerry, it's George. Bye. So, no matter who won in November, they had their man in the White House.
Are you through?
Woe is me, woe is me. Who will deliver me in those days? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. 2 Ezra chapter 16, verse 17 to 19. Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rachak, Kodesh. Double honors to our venerable apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and peace and blessings to the Lord's elect, the house of David. All right, so Brother Aharon coming back at you with another lesson. Lord willing to be edifying and uplifting unto the elect. All right, and today is November the 4th, 2025 AD. And I'm going to go straight into it. I have a lesson here I wanted to get into. All right, and the title will be Things Got Stricter as Time Went On. Okay, and pretty much as we just read, all right, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? And Ezra is asking that question, all right, pretty much to the Lord, that who's going to deliver us in these days, in these times that we're entering into? Okay, and these times are prophesied by many different prophets, but ultimately the highlighted point is this is the time of Jacob's trouble. Okay, now, starting from my elders and apostles of Great Millstone on down, we've been saying that America is going to be turned into an unrecognizable world. Okay, because when you look at all the other countries in the world, all right, I say it was over 198 countries, if I'm not mistaken, and America pretty much stands alone. Not only is it in the West, okay, but she has her own sets of values and laws and so on and so forth, right? You look at something like the Constitution and so on and so forth, right? But eventually, as has been part of the so-called New World Order agenda, America is entering into her 250th year, all right, from 1776, which is the beginning of the New World Order agenda being pushed officially, all right, by the man Adam Weishaupt, all right, from Germany, all right, I believe Bavaria, if I'm not mistaken, Ingolstadt, Germany, Okay, and we're seeing the fruits of his labor. All right, you have many different you know um, groups that have fomented this plan, right? The Trilateral Commission, the Bilderberg Group, okay, what's the other one? The World Economic Forum today, as we have it, right, and many different forms, all right, and they've all been having this plan to bring about the collapse of America and her values, okay, the last standing so-called free country, okay, and by bringing America down, all right, they're going to be able to officially bring about their so-called New World Order. Okay, and they got the main guy, Trump, all right, DJ Trump, Nero Caesar, all right, he's back in power, and he's the one that they're using to bring about this ultimate plan. Okay, and what you're seeing now is something known as authoritarianism, otherwise known as totalitarianism. Okay, when you have a president who's given billion-dollar contracts to a private company like Palantir, which is going to be the focus of the lesson, okay, you should know very much so that this is all being used as a form of surveillance, all right, to bring about control over people. Okay, and I'm going to read a little bit about totalitarian regime, and then we're going to go into the article, all right, that I have. All right, so when you go to the concept of totalitarian regime or authoritarian regime, it says it's a form of political rule in certain capitalist countries which is characterized by the overtly anti-democratic methods used to implement the dictatorship of the exploiter classes. Okay, typical of such a regime are the restriction or total absence of bourgeois democratic rights and freedoms, a prohibition on the activity of progressive parties and working people's organizations, the restriction of the principle of electivity and the sovereignty of representative organs, the concentration of power in the hands of the head of state, which is the president, or in this case, the executive branch, okay, or government, bureaucratic centralism, direct reliance on the military punitive apparatus, etc., etc., etc. The extreme form of such an authoritarian political regime are the totalitarian fascist dictatorships of Nazi Germany, which ranged from 1933 to 1945. You have fascist Italy, all right, under, I believe, Mussolini, if I'm not mistaken, all right, which was from 1922 to 1944, all right, and then Spain under Franco, which lasted from 1939 to 1975, all right, so that's very recent, okay, and Portugal under Salazar, which was from 1926 to 1974. Now you're going to fast forward all the way to 2024, 2025, all right, you're going to see until 2026, all right, you're going to see the fulfillment or the fermentation or manifestation, that's the better word, manifestation of, all right, this authoritarian regime under DJ Trump. Okay, and we've been saying that he looks at himself as a king. Okay, and he's going to fulfill the prophecy of him being the cruel Lord, as is written in Isaiah the 19th chapter, the 4th verse. As a matter of fact, let's get that real quick. All right, it's the book of Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 4. It says, "And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts." Okay, so that's a prophecy that's about to be fulfilled very soon, here in America and around the world. Okay, so let's get right into this. All right, it says, when the government can see everything, how one company, Palantir, is mapping the nation's data. And I remember, I think probably sometime last year, all right, and very much this year, the Spirit had it heavy where we were going into Palantir and the role they're going to be playing in the so-called New World Order. Okay, so it's a beautiful thing, really, to see all these things coming together, right? That the Lord is definitely, bringing about these prophecies in a very beautiful way. When we talk about the beast system, and we talk about the tribulations, when we talk about Jacob's trouble, right? We talk about in Second Ezra, it talks about they shall be like madmen, sparing none. You see, a lot of people don't really, put the pieces together, right? So it's up to the prophets. The Lord has to give us the spirit to be able to show you these things before they happen. Whether they hear or whether they forbear, the warning has gone out. Okay? So let's read. It says, when the U.S. government signs contracts with private technology companies, the fine print rarely reaches the public. Palantir Technologies, however, has attracted more and more attention over the past decade because of the size and scope of its contracts with the government. Palantir's two main platforms are Foundry and Gotham. Each does different things. Foundry is used by corporations in the private sector to help with global operations. Okay, because this is all global. This is a world thing. Okay, it's a global world thing. All right. Gotham is marketed as an operating system for global decision making and is primarily used by governments. Okay, and when you have Gotham, okay, when you go into that word Gotham, as a matter of fact, let's do that right quick. Okay, let's look it up. Gotham. All right, here it says New York City. Okay, and New York City just had this mayoral voting. Okay, and they got this madman coming into power. Okay, Zohan, madman. Okay, I was telling my brother earlier, when you do the anagram for Mamdani, all right, the MAMDA, I think Mamdani, right? MAMDANI. When you actually do the anagram for it, you're gonna get Madman I, or you could put the I in front of it, and you could get I Madman. Okay, so they definitely gonna put a madman, all right, in that position. And the past two mayors, okay, from De Blasio to the black guy, what's his name, Mayor Eric Adams. Okay, it always gets worse. Okay, that's a pattern that I noticed years ago. I used to tell my mother this. I say, yo, have you noticed that every time a president or a governor or a mayor comes in, it's always worse than the previous one, right? It's like the terms that they come in, they always do worse shit, right? Like Biden will come in after Trump, and then people are complaining about Trump. So Biden comes in and he makes things worse. People complain about Biden, and then Trump comes back in and he makes things worse. Now people are complaining, like, who the hell are you going to go to? Okay, you had Cuomo as a governor, okay, and then he got out, and then somebody who's worse than him, Hochul, comes in, all right, and she does her whole ass shit. And now you look at the mayors, you got Adams, he was no good, corrupt as all hell. And now you got this guy who's a complete, lunatic. Okay, he's pushing all these. They did an interview with Trump. That was a couple of days ago in 60 Minutes, and the lady was asking him, all right, I think her name is Laura or something. She was asking him. She's like, "Oh, you've heard about Mamdani, all right, madman, okay, and he's pretty much like you, right? He's very boisterous. He's very outspoken, and he's a socialist." He said, "No, he's not a socialist. He's a communist." He said that shit just like that. No, he's not. He's worse than a socialist. He's a communist. Okay, and then the lady said, "Oh, he's pretty much like you, right? In other words, you're a communist. Like you're pretty much you embody a dictator. Like you have that vibe to you. That's just who you are. You embody that." And Trump didn't deny it. He didn't say, "Oh no, I'm not there's nothing like me." He says, I'm good. I'm better looking. I look better than him." That's the joke he said. Okay, and a lot of people didn't catch that, but basically he didn't deny that this guy who's coming in, that's being spoken of as a crazy madman who has all this socialist policies and really, Marxist policies and, coming in to wreak havoc. And Trump says, "Oh yeah, I just look better than him. We're the same, but I look better than him." Right? What type of shit is that? Okay, but again, they as it tells you in the book of Psalm, let's get that real quick. All right, if you're really paying attention to what these devils are saying and what they're up to, you can catch a lot of things that they do. All right, let's get this in the book of Psalm chapter 64 and verse 8. It says, "So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. all that see them shall flee away, right? And only the prudent, all right, the elect are going to be able to see these things and understand these things, right? When they hear these things, they're going to connect the dots, okay? But the foolish, they pass on and they'll get punished, okay? They're going to be slapped up with many stripes, okay? But going back to that word Gotham, okay, it says here, enclosure, right? Literally a homestead where goats are kept, okay? Goats, cattle, right? Do they not call the American people Goyim? Right, and who are they that they call American people Goyim? The cell style, the small hats, the tiny hats, the broad cap wearers. Okay, they're the ones who refer to the rest of the nations as Goyim. All right, which really goes back to the Hebrew word Gawayim. All right, so going back to the reading of Palantir, it says here. I am a researcher who studies the intersection of data governance, digital technologies, and the U.S. federal government. I am observing how the government is increasingly pulling together data from various sources and the political and social consequences of combining those data sources. Okay, so we read about authoritarianism, and you notice there was a key phrase in there that was called bourgeois democracy. Bourgeois democracy stands for the middle class, so-called middle class. Right, the upper middle class, if you will, right? But now you have two classes. You have the rich, and then you have the poor. That's it. Ain't no middle class. Ain't no upper, lower. No. Everybody's in one tier. Okay, no more class system. It's just the rich, and then everybody else. Okay, so you got the 1%, so-called 1%, that now has 99% of the world's wealth, and then you have the 99% of the world who now have to struggle with 1% of the world's wealth. Okay, and that's a form of control. It's all done by design, and it's been in the works for years. If you're now just waking up to this reality, I'm sorry, man, but you're gonna end up taking that C-hip because you're not prepared for what's coming. Okay, it says I am observing how the government is increasingly pulling together data from various sources and the political and social consequences of combining those data sources. Palantir's work with the federal government using the Gotham platform is amplifying this process. Gotham is an investigative platform built for police, national security agencies, public health departments, and other state clients. All right, and this lines perfectly with something known as the pre-crime technology. Okay, pre-crime technology, you're going to get used to that. You got to familiarize yourself with that phrase, pre-crime. Okay, because we're shifting. All right, these devils are shifting things from a time where, you were innocent until proven guilty in a court of law to now you're just guilty based on thought process. Okay, you haven't committed a crime. Okay, and a crime, all right, according to the actual definition, means that there's a victim. Okay, and this time you don't need to have a victim. All right, you don't need to commit the actual set crime, so to speak. They can just use data to say that, okay, well, this person has a pattern of doing this, and that. So based on what the data is saying, they might be doing this. So we're going to stop them before they actually think of doing it. You see what I'm saying? Which is completely insane. All right. But that is what is known as a totalitarian panoptic state. Right. Go back to the concept of Minority Report. OK. And that's why you have Pete Hegseth calling in all these generals in Quantico, was it last month? All right, because they wanted to make sure that, whatever we're about to do, you're on board. Okay, you have to swear an oath to what we're doing, not so much the Constitution. Okay, I just saw a video of this ex-Navy, all right, Navy guy, right, old man, probably in his 80s or 90s or something, and he was crying. Okay, he said, I fought for the freedoms, and I can't believe that I'm living in a time where this guy Trump came in and he's taking all these freedoms away. Everything that I fought for has been for nothing. Okay, and that's because, and it goes even to today, you got people who are still in the military, who are still signing up to go to the military because they have no idea what the hell is actually going on. Okay, now the system is built in such a way that some people do know what's going on, but it's kind of like a way out, right? If I join the military, they're going to pay for certain things and then I could, get benefits and so on. Yes, that's what they say. But guess what? people in the military right now in the federal government shutdown, they're not even getting paid. I was watching the news today. They were saying that if you're a federal worker and you're not getting paid, you might want to look at different avenues to make money. They said go find a job with Uber and Lyft. That's what they're saying now. Okay, and it's only gonna get worse. All right, you had the head of the aviation. I forget his name. Damn it, hate that. But he was saying that, hey, if this thing continues another week, expect chaos, mass chaos, right? Because now you're entering into the travel season. People are going Thanksgiving and getting ready for Christmas and vacations and all these different things. Now you got all this plane crashes going on since the beginning of last year. All right, going all the way into this year. Okay, you have all this. They just had an explosion. UPS cargo plane just exploded in Louisville, Kentucky. Okay, and the plume of smoke. I mean, wow, almost apocalyptic. You know, this is the times we're living in. The scriptures tell you in the book of 2nd Ezra that what the fire will be oft sent out. Okay, so that's the theme. And it's all a precursor for what's going to be happening to America, Babylon the Great. She goes out by way of fire, man. All right. Did not the Lord say what? Let me see if I can get that. That he has come to set fire. Hold on a second. If it already be kindled. See if I can find that real quick. Right. This is the book of Luke, chapter 12 and verse 49. It says, I am come to send fire on the earth. And what will I if it be already kindled? Okay. Right. In other words, that Yahushua can't even wait. All right. He can't wait. He's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I already wish I was there, already seen this place ablaze. Okay. But anyway, let's go back to the article. All right. Yeah, so expect a lot of uprisings, and that's going to open up the avenue for them to deem a lot of these people as domestic terrorists. Okay, because they have it on the books. You go back to the Patriot Act. The Patriot Act is an opening for them to deem anyone who goes against the system or you protest or anything like that. All right, against the government, you will be deemed a domestic terrorist, and they're going to come after you with this type of pre-crime technology right here. Okay, and it gets worse. It will get worse. Like I said, the video is titled Things Got Stricter as Time Went On. Okay, so, and I'm speaking it in the past tense because we're pretty much in the future, right? So I'm speaking it in the past tense as in things got much stricter as time went on. Okay, it's almost like somebody picks up a diary and they're reading everything that I was writing in there, like, yo, in this time, the year 2025, November, this happened and that happened, and things got stricter as time went on. Okay, because there is no going back to the old way of doing things. There is no going back to the good old days of America. This is it. All right, this is it. So get ready for worse things, worse days ahead. So continue. It says here, see, there you go. It says Gotham is an investigative platform built for police, national security agencies, public health departments, and other state clients. Its purpose is deceptively simple. Take whatever data an agency already has, break it down into smallest components, and then connect the dots. Gotham is not simply a database. It takes fragmented data scattered across various agencies and stored in different formats and transforms it into a unified, searchable web. Okay? Think of blockchain. Think of zero trust architecture. I've done lessons on these. I hope they're still up. All right, I'm not sure if it's going to be on this page or my main page, which I can't even use that page now because YouTube is playing games. But if it's still up there, you can find it and watch it. All right, what is I believe I titled it, what is zero trust architecture, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so I kind of go into that as well. All right, it says here, the stakes are high with Palantir's Gotham platform. The software enables law enforcement, all right, which are pretty much, whatever, let's keep going. The software enables law enforcement and government analysts to connect vast, desperate data sets, build intelligence profiles, okay, which Trump already asked Palantir to do, right? Gather all intel on all American citizens, right? And search for individuals based on characteristics such as granular or characteristics as granular as a tattoo or an immigration status. Okay, so they've given this technology to ICE, and ICE is using that right now. Okay, but remember, just like any other authoritarian dictatorship, all right, they always start off with a boogeyman. All right, they always start off with something that will gain support from the people, right? You have to have a bad guy that everybody agrees is a bad guy, whether it be manufactured bad guy or an organic bad guy. You have a bad guy, okay? And then after the bad guy, what you do is you just expand who fits that role of being a bad guy, ultimately until you get everybody else. All right. So that's what's coming. It's going to be just a broad brush being swept across everyone. Okay. We got to keep everyone safe. Remember? It says it transforms historically static records. Think Department of Motor Vehicles profiles, right? All files, police reports, and subpoenaed social media data like location history and private messages into a fluid web of intelligence and surveillance. These departments and agencies use Palantir's platform to assemble detailed profiles of individuals, mapping their social networks, tracking their movements, identifying their physical characteristics, and reviewing their criminal history. Okay? Think of TTID, tag, trace, and identify. All right? You got people that be coming on our videos scoffing, doing videos scoffing, talking about the Hebrew Israelites this, the Hebrew Israelites that. You're being tracked, okay? You're being identified, okay? And you're going to be a target because you know enough for them to come after you, okay? It says this can involve mapping a suspected gang member's network using arrest logs and license plate reader data, or flagging individuals in a specific region with a particular immigration status. The efficiency the platform enables is undeniable. For investigators, what once required weeks of cross-checking siloed systems can now be done in hours or less. But by scaling up the government's investigative capacity, Gotham also alters the relationship between the state and the people it governs. And that's all done by design because there is no relationship there. Okay? It says the political ramifications of Palantir's rise come into focus when you consider its influence and reach across the government. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement alone has spent more than $200 million on Palantir contracts, relying on the software to run its investigative case management system, which will be abbreviated as ICMS or ICM, and to integrate travel histories, visa records, biometric data, and social media data. The Department of Defense, DoD, which now is known as DOW, Department of War, has awarded Palantir billion-dollar contracts to support battlefield intelligence and AI-driven analysis. This is all technology that they're using with in Gaza, okay, with the whole Gaza Strip. That's this technology that they're using over there. All right, it's all targets are generated by AI. All right, through data sets. It's not really, people looking at cameras and saying, "Oh, this is a terrorist" or "This is Hamas." They're just using data and just going after people. Okay. It says even domestic agencies like the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the Internal Revenue Service, all right, CDC and the IRS, and local police departments like the New York Police Department have contracted with Palantir for data integration projects. These integrations mean that Palantir is not just a vendor of software, it is becoming a partner in how the federal government organizes and acts on information. That creates a kind of dependency. The same private company helps define how investigations are conducted, how targets are prioritized, how algorithms work, and how decisions are justified. It's all through data. This is the beast system. Okay? This is the beast system, man. All right? You don't get to speak to people. It's a computer. It's AI. It's all this tech stuff. Data. All right? That's what determines who's right and who's wrong. What access you have. Okay? Because Gotham is proprietary, meaning it's private, the public and even elected officials cannot see how its algorithms weigh certain data points or why they highlight certain connections. Yet the conclusions it generates can have life-altering consequences, inclusion on a deportation list or identification as a security risk. Okay? The opacity makes democratic oversight difficult. And this opacity is the opposite or the antonym for transparency, right? It's very they don't allow you to see anything in it. All right. It says in the system's broad scope and wide development means that mistakes or biases can scale up rapidly to affect many people. Think of you so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, the biases. Okay, you already live in a system that's biased against you. Now think of it as a beast system, AI system, all right, that you have to prove certain things in order to gain certain things, access, benefits, and so on and so forth. It's going to be working against you. All right, or against us, I should say. Okay, if you don't go along with the system, this shit is going to be used against you, man. All right, so this is beyond law enforcement. It says supporters of Palantir's work argue that it modernizes outdated government IT systems, bringing them closer to the kind of integrated analytics that are routine in the private sector. However, the political and social stakes are different in public governance. Centralized attribute-based searching, whether by location, immigration status, tattoos, or affiliations, creates the capacity for mass profiling. In the wrong hands, which they already are in the wrong hands, or even in well-intentioned hands, under shifting political conditions, this kind of system could normalize surveillance of entire communities. And the criteria that trigger scrutiny today could be expanded tomorrow. Okay? They just need to get their foot in the door. All right? And once they get their foot in the door, guess what? You're going to be out the house. All right? They're going to take over everything. It says U.S. history provides warning examples. The mass surveillance of Muslim communities after 9/11, the targeting of civil rights activists in the 1960s, and the monitoring of anti-war protesters during the Vietnam era are just a few. Gotham's capabilities may enable government agencies to carry out similar operations on a much larger scale and at a faster pace. And once some form of data integration infrastructure exists, its uses tend to expand, right? Often into areas far from its original mandate. It says a deeper story here isn't just that the government is collecting more data. It's that the structure of governance is changing into a model where decision-making is increasingly influenced by what integrated data platforms reveal. All right. In a pre-Gotham era, putting someone under suspicion of wrongdoing might have required specific evidence linked to an event or witness account, right? That you actually committed a crime. In a Gotham-enabled system, suspicion can stem from patterns in the data. Patterns whose importance is defined by proprietary algorithms. Okay, so privatized algorithms. It's internal. It's not public. Okay, there is no individual or independent oversight. Okay, it says this level of data integration means that government officials can use potential future risks to justify present action. That's pre-crime technology, man. Okay, government officials can use potential future risks, okay, to justify present action. That's insane. All right, that's insane. The predictive turn in governance aligns with a broader shift toward what some scholars call preemptive security. Okay? Preemptive security. All right, look up the word preemptive. Let's see what it says. Preemptive. Oh, shit, I don't think it's going to show. Let's do this. Preemptive. There you go. It says pertain to or of the nature of. Really? There you go. Preemption. It says specifically of an attack on an enemy who is plotting or has set in motion his own imminent attack. Okay? Preemption, it says, a purchase by one before an opportunity is offered to others. Purchasing before others. Preemption. So preemptive meaning before somebody makes a move, you're already on there. Right? So before you even commit a crime or think about to commit a crime, they're saying that we're going to stop you. Okay. Oh, the people were radicalized, and they were typing this and saying this, and we stopped them before they could do something. Right? It is a logic that can erode traditional legal safeguards that require proof before punishment. Okay. Let's see if there's any more. Ooh, it says here, without clear rules and independent oversight, there is a risk that Palantir's technology becomes normalized as a default mode of governance. Okay? Damn, it's crazy. They could be used not only to track suspected criminals or theists, but also to manage migration flows, monitor and suppress protests. Oh, that's a big one. All right, because you're going to see a lot of protests soon. Very, very soon. You're going to see it. You're going to see it. All right, they're going to be using Palantir. They can't wait. I'm telling you. All right, they're fomenting this plan. All right, all the shit that you're seeing is carefully orchestrated. The food shortages that's going to be happening is carefully orchestrated. The energy crisis that you're going to be seeing is carefully orchestrated. The job losses by various governments are all around the world. That's how you're going to know that, oh, this is something that's being deliberately done. It's not just, oh, one country that has economic problems that's causing job loss. No, it's a global thing. Okay? All these things happening all at the same time is all to prepare for the MOTB. Okay? But they're going to kill a lot of people. They're going to exterminate. All right? Exterminate a lot of people. All right? So anyway, let's keep going. It says here, all right, to monitor and suppress protests, right? Why would they do that? Suppress protests? What's going on? Okay? And those protesters are going to be known as domestic T's. All right? You have to create the boogeyman. You have to dehumanize them. You have to, cause the wrath of the people who may be unknowing or unaware of the reality of what's going on, so they could just jump on board and support the punishments that's going to be coming down the pike for those who may dare to speak up against the things that we're about to enter into very soon. All right, I believe 2026, like I've been saying, is going to be, you're going to see some things, man. All right, we all going to see some things. Ultimately, Yahweh Bashim Yahshua is going to shake things up. All right, he's going to shake things up, man. All right, it says, and enforce public health measures. Okay, think of contact tracing. Okay, it says the concern is not that these data integration capabilities exist, but that government agencies could use them in ways that undermine civil liberties without public consent. Okay, they don't care about your consent anymore. We're now shifting into the time of conquest. No more consent. Is now about conquest. Okay, they shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. Okay, it says, once put in use, such systems are hard to dismantle. They create new expectations for speed and efficiency in law enforcement, making it politically costly to revert to slower, more manual processes. That inertia can lock in not only the technology, but also the expanded scope of surveillance it enables. Okay? Palantir deepens its government partnerships. The issues its technology raises go beyond questions of cost or efficiency. There are civil liberties implications and the potential for abuse. Will strong legal safeguards and transparent oversight constrain these tools for integrated data analysis? The answer is likely to depend on political will as much as technical design. But the thing is, it's not designed for, benefiting the people. It's not designed for that. They're not designing this shit to aid people as much as they say it does. Oh, keep you safe. But the end goal is to surveil you, is to control you. Okay? Just like Aaron Russo said, they're going to put the C-hip in you, and if you protest or speak against it, they just turn off your chip. Now what? What are you going to do? What are you going to say? You can't do shit. Your bank account is closed. Like Stephen Miller said, we're going to come after you. We're going to take your money. What did he say? He said a whole bunch of bullshit. They're going to take your money. They're going to do this to you. They're going to do that to you. Seize assets and all that. That's all fascism, man. All right. That's all authoritarianism right there. We're going to seize all your shit. Okay. And there's nothing you could do about it. Especially if it's under martial law. It's over with, man. It's over with. Okay. You ain't gonna be getting your shit back. Once they seize your shit for protesting, yeah, man, you saw that what happened in Canada over the truckers that were protesting. They froze their bank accounts. You're gonna be seeing a whole lot of that soon here in America. Okay, talking about civil liberties. Man, ain't no civil liberties, man. It's over with. Them days are done. All right, it's too late in the game for you to be crying about your liberties, man. It's over with. You should have rose up against the government back in 2020 when they shut everything down, locked your asses up, and told you can't do shit. You can't work. You can't live. You can't survive if you don't come take this potion. That's when people should have band together and stood up against this bullshit. But now they've played both sides over the past 4 or 5 years. Democrats, Republicans, if you notice, they're all in the same boat. All right, they're all in the same boat. Conservatives and liberals, they're all in the same boat. All right, and they're all fast forwarding and speeding into their own enslavement. All right, digital enslavement. All right, and only the elect can see it for what it is. All right, because the Lord has given us the eye salve to see these things. Okay, and to be prepared for the times that we're entering into. All right, so that's pretty much it on that. I want to get this last precept, or this quick precept here, and then we're gonna close it out. Let's see. All right, it's a book of Revelation, chapter 12 and verse 12. It says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time." Okay, so the great wrath is all encompassing, right? With the technology that they got going on, right? With the military, right? The militarization, all right, of the society of the globe, as you will. All right, like Prince Charles back then, now King Charles said, all right, that they have to shift their focus into more of a militarized, martial militarized footing, something like that, right? A militarized martial-like footing or something, you know. So you got something known as a military economy, right? Meaning that you're building up your military, right? You know, you got military spending. That shit is way above and beyond anything else that you put your budget to. All right, that's called a military or militarized economy, or in other words, the militarization of economies. Okay, all the money and everything is being spent more on the military industrial complex, the military apparatus, and so on and so forth, rather than, you know, education or healthcare or, you know, people's food and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's all part of that wrath. All right, I'm going to that word wrath real quick in the Greek. Okay, it says what? Thumos. All right, thumos. It says passion, angry, heat, anger forthwith boiling up and soon subsiding again. All right. It says it says what? It says inflaming wine. All right, the wine of passion, inflaming wine, which either drives the drinker mad or kills him with its strength. Okay, it says what? Fierceness, indignation, wrath. Like, damn, what's going to cause all this? All right, they shall be like madmen, sparing none. Okay, they shall be like madmen, sparing none. All right, and this technology is the embodiment of sparing none. Okay, and when they have digital robots and shit that's going to be coming out here and targeting people. You got red list, blue list, yellow list, all that shit. Listen, man, this is sparing none. Ezekiel, the 9th chapter, the 4th verse on down. Sparing none, except the elect, those who have the mark of exemption, the Thawa. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to leave it off there, Lowell, and you're edified and informed. In closing, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachak Wadash, the water Yahweh Basham Yahushai, and until next time, Shalom.